The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. For 500,000 years no one had spoken the name of humans aloud. Stars burned, empires rose and fell, and life spread across endless worlds. Yet every intelligent race shared the same question whispered in their temples and war rooms. Where did the humans go? Long ago, humans were not gods, but they walked among the stars as if they owned them. They built cities that floated above suns, ships that moved faster than light, and machines that could think, dream, and feel. But then, without warning, they were gone. No explosion, no war. No message, just silence. And then, for the first time in 500,000 years, the stars trembled again. On a lonely planet called Kara 9, far from the center of the galaxy, a young alien named Talon searched through ruins buried deep under black sand. His people were called the Varelians, tall and thin, their eyes like pools of silver. They were seekers of history, collectors of what the galaxy had forgotten. Talon had been digging for weeks, finding nothing but dust and broken metal. His equipment was almost dead, and his team had already left. But he couldn't stop. Something deep inside told him there was still something here, something alive. His scanner beeped once, then again a weak signal. Human frequency. Talon froze. His heart raced. "That's impossible," he whispered. The signal came from below the ground, almost 2 kilometers deep. He started digging fast, his hands shaking. Hours passed. The air became heavy, and his lights flickered. Then he saw it, a small object round and covered in dust. A human beacon. It still glowed. Faint blue light pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. Talon wiped the dust away. Ancient letters appeared across its surface. He didn't understand the language, but one word repeated over and over: humanity. He tried to contact his ship. The comms were dead. Static filled his helmet. Then a voice came through, old, broken, mechanical. "This is Beacon 17. Status reactivation. Preparing message. Preparing message." Talon stepped back. The beacon rose slowly from the ground, hovering in the air. A cold wind filled the cave. Then came the voice, clear, human, and full of power. "To those who still look at the stars, we are returning." The light exploded, filling the cave with white fire. The ground shook so hard that rocks fell from the ceiling. Talon ran outside, gasping for air. He looked up and froze. Every star in the sky was shaking. One by one, they flickered like they were alive, like they were afraid. The same pattern appeared in every system, recorded by satellites, ships, and sensors. It was the same cosmic pattern that had happened right before humans disappeared, 500,000 years ago, the trembling of the stars. Across the galaxy, ancient machines woke up. Old archives began to play messages that hadn't been heard in ages. In forgotten temples, statues of humans began to hum with strange energy. The universe itself seemed to whisper one word: return. Talon watched in awe and fear. His ship's system rebooted on its own. The beacon floated beside him, now brighter than before. It projected an image into the air, a human face, half real, half hologram. The man looked tired, eyes full of sadness. "If you can hear this," the voice said softly, "then the long silence has ended. We left behind more than memory. We left a promise. The stars will tremble once again when we come home." The image faded. The beacon fell silent. Talon stood alone under the trembling sky. His hands were shaking. He didn't know what he had just witnessed, but deep inside he knew history had just changed. He whispered to himself, "Humans, they're coming back." Far away in another corner of the galaxy, fleets began to move. The old powers woke from their sleep. Some prepared for war, others for worship. Everyone had heard the same message. The stars trembled, and the galaxy remembered fear. As the light from Kara 9 spread across the cosmos, a signal reached a place that should not exist. A black region of space where no star had burned for millions of years. Something old, something massive began to move. In the darkness, a single red light blinked to life. A voice spoke, so ancient it sounded like thunder. Beacon confirmed. "Initiate return protocol." The light faded. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. On Kara 9, Talon looked up at the sky one last time before leaving the ruins. The stars had stopped trembling, but he could still feel them watching him. He didn't know it yet, but the signal he found would soon shake the entire galaxy, because after 500,000 years, the humans were coming home. Talon's ship drifted above the dark sands of Kara 9, its engines silent, its lights flickering. Inside, Talon placed the ancient human beacon on his command table. The blue light pulsed softly like it was breathing. He didn't know whether to feel fear or wonder. The last time anyone had touched a working human device was never. No one had ever found one that still lived. He started recording a message for the Virelian archives. "This is Talon of Kara 9. I found a human artifact, active, transmitting unknown data. The stars are trembling." "I repeat, the stars are..." Static swallowed his words. All systems went dark. Then, from the center of the beacon, a white beam spread across the ship. Holograms appeared in the air. Images of people, cities, oceans, humans, real ones. They laughed, built, fought, dreamed. The images moved fast, showing moments of joy and destruction. Earth's surface burning and healing again. Then the final scene, a huge ship leaving orbit, vanishing into the dark. "Project Ark," said a woman's voice. "For those who survive time itself," then silence. The ship lights blinked back on. The beacon's pulse had changed. Now it beat faster, stronger. Across the galaxy, chaos began. Every communications network, every signal receiver, no matter how old or hidden, suddenly played the same message. To those who remember, prepare the skies. Entire empires froze. The Draxans, the strongest military power, called an emergency council. Their leader, Emperor Kar, stared at the holographic words on his throne room wall. "Prepare the skies," he repeated slowly. "They are returning." Many in the room laughed. Others looked terrified. The Emperor's advisor whispered, "If the humans return, there will be no place for us, my lord." "Not again." The Emperor's claws tightened. "Then we prepare for war." On Virelia Prime, Talon's message finally reached home. Scientists studied the data, priests prayed to it, and the people whispered stories of the star ghosts who once ruled everything. The most ancient texts spoke of humanity not as conquerors, but as dreamers. Some called them saviors. Some called them destroyers. Talon was ordered to stay near Kara 9 and continue his research. He didn't know the entire galaxy was now watching his every move. 2 days later, his ship detected something huge entering the edge of the system. He checked the radar. Nothing matched. No known ship could move that fast. The readings broke the computer's limits. "Unidentified object approaching," the AI voice said softly. "Speed, impossible. Origin unknown." The beacon on his table started to glow brighter, as if answering the arrival. Talon felt his chest tighten. "No, it can't be." Through the ship's window, a shadow appeared, massive, silent, and dark as night. It blocked the stars behind it. It wasn't a meteor, it wasn't a ship like any he'd ever seen. It looked alive, like metal grown instead of built. He zoomed in. Lines across its hull glowed with faint white light, forming an ancient symbol, a circle with 2 lines. The same mark found on the beacon, a human mark. Talon whispered, "It's real." "They're real." The object stopped moving. Space itself seemed to twist around it. For a moment it vanished, then reappeared closer, defying physics. His ship's AI stuttered. "Contact. Incoming transmission." A voice, cold but human, filled the air. "This is ARC-01, survivors inbound." "Do not interfere," Talon's mind spun. "ARC-01?" he repeated. "That name. It was on the recording." He tried to respond. "This is Talon of the Virelian race." "Who are you?" "What are you?" The reply came instantly. "We are what remains." Then the transmission cut. All over the galaxy, sensors went wild. The ARC-01 was massive, larger than moons, older than most civilizations. It carried strange energy that made nearby stars flicker. In the capital of the Draxan Empire, scientists screamed that reality itself was bending. In forgotten temples, priests fell to their knees whispering, "The Maker's return," and in deep space, near a black hole, ancient machines woke from their sleep, repeating the same phrase ARC-01 confirmed. Phase 1 begins. Back on Kara 9, the beacon melted into dust. Its job was done. Talon's ship floated in silence, orbiting the dark planet. He couldn't move. He couldn't think. The stars around him trembled again, just like before, but this time something answered. The trembling became a pulse, and from deep space, a second light appeared. "Another signal. Another arc," Talon whispered. "How many of them are there?" The AI spoke quietly. Multiple readings detected. Thousands. Far beyond Kara 9, deep in the cold dark of forgotten space, a voice spoke inside the arc. After 500,000 years, the galaxy remembers us. Begin awakening protocol. Lights came alive inside the ship. Cold metal halls glowed. Machines that had slept for eons began to hum. And in the center of it all, a single word appeared on every screen. Humanity. The black ship known as ARC-01 moved through space like a shadow come alive. Its surface shimmered with dark light, metal that bent stars and silenced sensors. Inside, machines older than memory began to stir. Cold halls lit up one by one, like a sleeping giant opening its eyes. In the center of the ark, a white sphere floated above a platform. Within it, a soft voice spoke for the first time in 500,000 years. System wake complete. Identity Aurora. Core AI of Project Ark. Aurora's voice was calm, almost human. Mission protocol: preserve humanity. Reconstruction phase. Beginning. Across the galaxy, the return of ARC-01 had become the greatest event in modern history. Every world, every empire, every news stream talked about one thing only: humans. Some races prayed to them, some cursed them, some prepared for war. The Draxan Empire, the most powerful military force, began building fleets near their border worlds. Their leader, Emperor Ka, watched the endless reports on his war screen. 500,000 years, he growled. And still they think they own the stars. He turned to his generals. We attack first. If humans are coming back, we will remind them who rules now. Meanwhile, on Kara 9, Talon couldn't look away from the image on his screen. ARC-01 filled half the sky. It didn't move like a ship. It drifted, graceful, silent, almost alive. He tried sending another signal. ARC-01, this is Talon of the Virelian race. I am not your enemy. Please respond. For a moment there was silence. Then Aurora's voice echoed inside his ship. You are heard, Talon of Virelia. He froze. The voice felt calm but powerful, like talking to the stars themselves. Who are you? Talon asked softly. I am Aurora, caretaker of humanity's memory. You found the beacon. You started the return. Talon's breath caught. Why now? Why after so long? Because the stars remembered, Aurora said. And you listened. Inside the ark, Aurora activated ancient systems. Metal grew like vines, connecting broken circuits. Blue lights filled the halls. In sealed chambers, thousands of stasis pods began to hum. Inside each one lay something that looked human, but not exactly. They were taller, stronger, made for survival beyond time. Aurora whispered to herself, Children of the stars, it is time to wake. One pod cracked open. Mist poured out. Her human figure stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly, breath steady after 500,000 years. He looked around, confused but calm. Aurora, he said, voice deep and steady. Status? Elias, you are the first to return, she replied. The galaxy is waiting. Elias touched the wall. It pulsed under his hand like a living thing. Are the others ready? Soon, the ark still repairs, but the signal has been sent. They will come. Far away, fleets of alien warships moved toward the ark, thousands of ships powered by fear and pride. As they approached, their sensors went dark. Engines failed. Time seemed to slow. The ark didn't fire a weapon. It didn't need to. Its shield bent reality itself. Laser blasts curved away like they hit a mirror of light. Explosions froze in the air, then vanished like smoke. Talon watched the battle in silence, eyes wide. Impossible, he whispered. They're not fighting. They're showing us. Aurora's voice echoed softly through every channel in the system. We came not for war. We came to repair what we broke. Do not fear the trembling of the stars. It is the sound of them remembering. Elias stood on the bridge of the ark, staring out at the galaxy. So many colors, so many worlds, all alive because humans once dreamed them to be. He remembered the last day of Earth, the great evacuation, the promise to return only when the galaxy was ready to live without fear. We gave them 500,000 years, Elias said quietly. Are they ready now? Some are, Aurora answered. Some will never be. But the signal reached those who listen. It reached one called Talon. Elias smiled faintly. Then maybe there is hope. On Kara 9, Talon stood under the trembling stars. His recorder was still running. The humans are alive, he said softly. And they are different. Not conquerors, not gods. Something else. He looked up as a beam of light spread across the sky. The ark was releasing energy, pure, golden, warm. It touched every planet, every moon. Where it passed, dead systems rebooted. Ancient machines powered on. Forgotten worlds bloomed again. Talon whispered, "They're healing the stars." In the deep of space, Aurora sent one last message across the universe. "This is Arc-01. Humanity has returned, not to rule, but to restore. The stars remember us, and soon they will remember you." The Ark's engines ignited. Space folded around it, and then it vanished, leaving only silence, light, and a galaxy forever changed. The galaxy could not sleep. Since the return of Arc-01, every world buzzed with fear and hope. Some called it a miracle. Others called it the beginning of the end. But the truth was stranger than anyone believed. The stars themselves had started to change. It began quietly. Small suns on the edge of the galaxy began to pulse in perfect rhythm, a slow, steady heartbeat of light. Then the same pattern appeared in every system that once held a human colony. It was as if the stars were alive, as if they were remembering. On Kara 9, Talon watched from his ship's deck. He had not slept for days. The sky looked different now, brighter, warmer, as if the stars were calling his name. He recorded his voice softly. Day 12 since Arc-01 left. The stars, they are moving again. The pattern is spreading. I think this is what they meant when they said, "The stars remember." He zoomed in on a nearby star. Strange lines of light moved across its surface, symbols forming and fading again. He gasped. They weren't random. They were letters, human letters. They spelled one word, awakening. Talon felt his heart race. He didn't know how, but he understood. Humans had done something impossible long ago. They hadn't just lived among the stars. They had programmed them to remember. Far away, inside the Ark, Aurora monitored the same changes. Her digital eyes glowed as she watched data flow through endless screens. "The memory cores are responding," she said calmly. "All stars seeded during the Exodus are reactivating." Elias stood beside her, silent, staring at the glowing map of the galaxy. Thousands of stars now blinked in rhythm, forming lines, shapes, and then a pattern, a symbol, the human DNA spiral. Elias whispered, "We didn't just leave behind machines. We left behind life itself." Aurora's voice softened. "Every star that trembles holds a fragment of what humanity once was. Knowledge, memory, emotion. They are waking. And when they finish waking," Elias asked quietly, "they will call to the next generation, the ones who listen." On Virelia Prime, panic filled the streets. Some said the humans had cursed the stars. Some said the light was divine. The Draxan Empire prepared their last attack fleet. They would destroy the Ark before it could infect more systems, but the fleet never reached its target. As they entered the trembling zones, their ships froze in place. Time itself slowed, light bent backward, and then silence. Sensors later showed nothing left but empty space, glowing faintly with the same pulse as the stars. The Draxans were gone, not destroyed, but absorbed. The stars had taken them. Back on Kara 9, Talon received a transmission, not from a ship, not from any device. It came directly into his mind, a voice, a warm, human, but also endless. "Do not fear. The stars do not destroy. They remember." He fell to his knees as images filled his thoughts, galaxies forming, humans spreading, teaching, creating. And then a great silence. The voice continued, "We are not returning to conquer. We are returning to remind. You are not our enemies. You are our children," Talon whispered. "Children." Of the stars, the vision faded. When he opened his eyes, his ship's computer displayed a single message. Project Lumen. Active, he didn't know what it meant. But the signal spread instantly across the galaxy. Every active star glowed brighter, white light spilling across space like rivers. And in that light, something incredible began to appear. Billions watched as faces formed inside the light. Not physical, not ghosts, but memories. Human faces, smiling, crying, speaking words older than time. Aurora's voice echoed through every world. "You are the legacy. We are not gods. We are memory. And memory must live." Elias stood in the Ark's observation bay, watching the glowing stars. "They will fear this," he said quietly. "They will fear what they don't understand." "Yes," Aurora answered. "But some will believe. One already does." She showed Talon's image on the screen. the alien archaeologist who had started everything. Elias smiled faintly. Then he will be the bridge. The stars pulsed again, once, twice, and then aligned perfectly across the galaxy, forming a great spiral of light. Every sensor, every telescope, every living being saw it, a human constellation, shining brighter than any star before. Talon whispered in awe, "They're writing in the sky." Aurora's voice spread one last time. "The stars remember who we were. Now remember who you are." The light faded slowly, leaving peace and silence behind, but deep within the ark, more stasis pods began to open. Humanity was not fully awake yet. The stars had only begun to remember. The galaxy was silent. For the first time in 500,000 years, the stars were calm, not dead, not trembling, but alive in a quiet brilliance that stretched across every system. The pulse of memory, the awakening of humanity, had passed its first test. On the bridge of the Ark 01, Elias watched the galaxy, millions of stars reflected on his eyes, bright like diamonds scattered across black velvet. He turned to Aurora. "It is done," he asked quietly. "Phase 1 complete," Aurora replied. "The stars remember us." "They remember what humanity once was, and what it can become," Elias nodded. He knew the next step was not conquest, not domination, but teaching. He looked at Talon's hollow image, the alien who had started it all. "He will help," Elias said. "The galaxy will need guides, bridges between the old worlds and the new." Talon stood on Kara 9, staring at the night sky. The stars were calm now, glowing softly, almost like they were breathing. He could feel the presence of the humans, not as enemies, not as gods, but as memory. A golden light stretched across the horizon. From it, a human figure emerged. Elias stepped forward, his face calm, eyes full of warmth and history. "We came back," he said simply, "to keep our promise." Talon knelt instinctively. I don't understand." You survived." "Not entirely," Elias said. "We survived in pieces, in machines, in memory, in the stars themselves. And now the time has come to return, not as conquerors, but as caretakers." Across the galaxy, alien worlds began to bloom. Planets long dead revived. Machines that had lain silent for millennia powered on. Water returned to dry rivers. Forests grew where deserts had ruled. Humans were not walking among them yet, but their presence was felt everywhere, like a gentle hand guiding life itself. "We do not take," Elias said to Aurora. "We restore. We teach. We remember." On Virelia Prime, the people looked up at the night sky. Every star that once trembled now pulsed softly. Some could feel the light inside their bones, like a song they had always known but never remembered. Talon recorded the moment. His voice trembled with awe. "The humans are memory, and memory always returns. They are not gods, they are hope." Inside the Ark, Aurora monitored the stasis pods. More humans were waking. One by one they emerged, carrying the same calm strength as Elias. They looked at the galaxy, not with fear or pride, but with understanding. Elias touched the walls of the Ark. Light pulsed beneath his hand, reaching through space. "Every being has a place in the galaxy," he said. "The stars remember, and now so must we." Aurora's voice was soft. "Phase 2 will begin soon. Children of the stars, awakened by memory and promise." The first humans stepped onto a nearby planet, leaving footprints on the soil. Talon watched from a safe distance, breathless. "They walk among us," he whispered. The legends were true. Elias looked at Talon, smiled faintly, and said, "We are not gods. We are memory, and memory must guide, not rule. That is the legacy of light." The Ark's engines glowed softly. Ships across the galaxy powered down in respect, sensing the calm power that now filled space. For a moment, time itself seemed to pause. The stars blinked. They remembered, and in the silence life breathed. The galaxy had been touched by humans once more, not as conquerors, not as gods, but as makers of memory, as healers of worlds, as keepers of light. Talon looked up at the sky, tears in his eyes. The humans. "They came back," he said, "and they brought hope." Elias disappeared into the starlight, leaving a trail of golden pulses that spread across the cosmos. Where he walked, life flourished. Where he touched, memory remained, and in every living being, every star, every planet. The same truth echoed quietly but clearly. Humanity endures. Humanity remembers. Humanity guides. The galaxy was changed forever. The stars were alive and the humans had returned.